Hi everyone, good morning, welcome home, Jerrel. Now, I wanted to share this fantastic little instrument with you. I purchased this last year in 2023. It is a Pochette. I was adventuring for a few months last year, just traveling around the place, mostly in California, exploring little towns and everything like that. And I wanted something just fun and charismatic and just something easy to bring around with me. Now, this is called a Pochette. This is really the smallest kind of violin family instrument that you can get, and it is tuned in CGDA, so it's tuned higher up than a violin. In fact, it's actually an entire octave above a viola. So it's an interesting voice because it is a smaller body. You have that brighter, more strident sound, and because of the short scale length, it's nice and sweet. Now, this thing is an absolute nightmare to tune, and that is because turning the pegs even a hair's width will cause your string to jump in tune by like 40 cents. That's going to make it extremely difficult to tune. So I have not used this in a jam yet, because by the time I get to a place where I'll be playing with other musicians or playing in a jam, I'll have to tune it, and it's so difficult that I don't want to leave other people waiting around for me to tune this thing, and then it looks quite embarrassing as you're just you start making angry faces at it. You might start cussing at it because it's so frustrating to tune, and it's something that doesn't have a whole lot of projection. So if you are just playing in a folksy environment that's quiet, you're in sort of a room where there's a bit of natural acoustics to help you with that, then this is fine, playing it at a little folk jam or whatever, where instruments are not necessarily so loud. But it's something that I'm very grateful to have, because they're very rare. And it has such a sweet sound. It's really just lovely to play it, but I don't play it that often, and the reason being is because it's so difficult to tune. It's fine if you just want to play the instrument by itself. When it goes out of tune, generally the strings go out of tune together, but having to tune this to where you can play with other instruments does take a fair bit of time. So I'll just play a little bit more, but I'll give you a closer look at just look at this thing. It's adorable. I took this to a bluegrass festival, and that was fun, playing that a bit, and I let other players try it, and it always just puts a smile on people's faces. They had a laugh, and these incredible fiddle players are trying to play it, and they couldn't because it's so difficult to hold, and the scale length is so odd. So I'll talk a little bit more about it. I'll just play a little bit more. It's actually very difficult to play. The reason being is that you can't play it the same way that you play a violin. The violin up here has a very specific form and technique to it, but that's not how you play this instrument. So it means that you hold the bow differently as well, which means you're also actually using your arm differently as you bow, because you have to move in this way. So there's a lot more wrist action going on, and there are situations where when you want to adjust strings or double stop, you do actually have to turn the instrument a little bit to address that and get to those angles and play efficiently like that. So this is actually quite different from playing a violin, and violins generally cannot just pick this up and play it. It takes a fair amount of adjusting. So I'm still very new to this. I'm still improving, and I often find that I start losing my intonation, and then it sort of rattles me and I lose my concentration. So if anyone grew up in the 90s, you might be familiar with a game called Dance Dance Revolution. If you know what that is, comment down below. But that's a deep cut at this point. That's like talking about the 60s. So in Dance Dance Revolution, if you missed one of the beats, you would end up just losing your concentration. You would mess up a whole string of beats. And that's a lot of what this is like. It's so kind of just shocking when you miss something, when you think, wait, I know how to play a fiddle, I shouldn't mess that up. You get it wrong and you just sort of, it snowballs and you make a number of mistakes. So I find the best way to hold this is actually to use my thumb and to get some leverage there. So you see I'm on behind the nut, I'm holding it, and that allows me to keep that in place. But this is very sharp, so I need to get in there with a file and just round that off a bit because it's very uncomfortable. I can't hold it any other way, because as if I don't do that, as I hold it, I'll slide farther and farther up the neck, and then you have no way to really go back into first position again. So you really have to hold it up there like that. So I hope this has been interesting. I do need to practice with this more, as I will be using this in my studio recordings for my compositions and whatnot. So what do you think of this thing? I hope this was interesting for you. And I'll put a link to the seller. I purchased this on eBay. The seller sells through eBay, so they made this. These are handmade, and if you're interested in them, because they're just so charismatic, they're really fantastic and fun, and they always put a smile on people's faces when you bring it out somewhere at a jam, and I like to let people give it a try. It's very fun. So I'll do a review on it at some point as well. So take care of yourselves. Be well, everyone, and come home again soon. I'll leave the light on.